In an underloved corner of Hobart, there is obscured strangeness. This intersection of Campbell and Melville, it sort of looks like it's always been here. But it's actually one of the newest roads in Hobart. And what used to be there is one of the very worst places in all of Australia. But it's all gone now. This picture by John Watt Beatty depicts a chain gang moving through the streets of Hobart on work duty. The transportation system that birthed English settlement was essentially slavery with the patina of legal justice. Down on the Tasman Peninsula, they were put to work on the convict tramway. This colourised image of an undated picture by Cole Mundy depicts the Flintstone-style transportation system. It opened in 1836 and ran for 5 miles between Oakwood and Turana. Van Diemen's Land was violent. Convicts who transgressed from their masters could be whipped with the cat-o'-nine tails. Gibbeting was not unfamiliar. Using a gallows-type structure, the dead or dying bodies of serious criminals were hanged on public display. The island was in fact the last place in the entire British Empire to permit it. Convict transportation came to an end in 1853, but aspects of that culture didn't just go away. This photo, taken from Hobart's Domain by Thomas and John Nevin, is of the Campbell Street Gaol circa 1860. Built by convict labour, the maximum security prison operated from 1821 to 1963. With most of the jail long since demolished, it requires imagination to see how it would have looked while still in operation. There are 2 good diagrams that give something of an idea. Taking the top-down schematic and superimposing it on a satellite image of modern Hobart, it all becomes somewhat clearer. The highway along Campbell Street held the entrance to the jail. The jail gates being where Melville Street intersection is today. Having entered, you could look back, now from the inside, at the gates and Campbell Street beyond the wall. Stepping in further, you would arrive at the superintendent's residence. Again, as with the gates, this building lay across where the eastern end of Melville Street now is. So the prison, the jail, used to come to about here. Now that it's gone, the traffic can go in each direction all the way through. Today there is a large building on the corner of Melville and Campbell containing a number of businesses as well as an IVF clinic. From 1825 to 1855, the same spot belonged to a torture device. The everlasting staircase, or the wheel, was a fully functional treadmill, the type that those in gyms today get their names from. It combined the twin mandates of physically punishing inmates while also making the jail self-sufficient. Wooden steps around an iron frame. Attached to the wheel axle were a system of gears that turned millstones to grind grain. In the history of the island, there appears to have been 1,469 death sentences handed down, and of those, 545 resulted in execution, the very last of which was performed at the jail at 6 a.m. on February 14th, 1946. The person had a rope noosed around their neck. When the trapdoor flung open, their body dropped several feet. They swung from their neck until dead. The jail was always overcrowded, placing minor offenders with serious criminals, cramming both men and women together. A hangover from convict transportation, the facility should have been replaced sooner. The jail never had toilets in the cells, just slop buckets. In 1963, when the jail was eventually replaced in full by the Risdon prison complex, the last inmates were transferred, and the authorities were quick to demolish the ugliest parts. The monument to an uncivilised society had to go. A deputy governor of the facility remarked, on record, "A decent farmer wouldn't have kept pigs in the Campbell Street Gaol." Around the world, human cruelty has been used to make beautiful buildings. The same is true in Hobart. When the jail was razed, the prettiest building was saved. This 1834 drawing of the Hobart Penitentiary Chapel and Criminal Courts is by Henry Melville. The facility was partly designed in the Georgian Renaissance style by architect John Lee Archer, who also designed St George's Church in Battery Point and Parliament House, Hobart. This building behind the fence and behind the foliage is one of the greatest pieces of colonial architecture in the whole country. I might take you behind the fence and show you something about the wall that's kind of interesting. From a distance, this looks like any other wall around Hobart, and it sort of is like any other wall around Hobart, certainly like a lot of them, in that it was built by convict labour. And the clue to look for it is the famous arrow. There's one here, there's another one here, and there's one here. Hey dog, what do you think? You see it? Generations of Tasmanians were born and lived and died, knowing Hobart as a place with an above-ground dungeon in the middle of it. It's all gone now, but it's also not gone. The arrows of the convicts that made the bricks are still there, and the bottom section of the perimeter wall still stretches across 2 city blocks. A society can put things in the past, but they'll always be there, because the past is eternal. Hey?